Alright, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So the oldest child is the first child of any married couple, correct?
Yes.
So if they're first, then aren't they spoiled for being the first?
Not necessarily, but sometimes.
Alright. The oldest child paves their own way, correct?
Yes.
But doesn't the youngest child usually follow this path because they look up to the oldest child and want to be like them?
That can be true, but it's not always, because sometimes their personalities differ a lot.
But doesn't that mean that the youngest sibling could act very similar to the oldest child?
Yes, they could.
Would you say that siblings are often compared to each other?
Yes, on certain levels and certain aspects, they are.
Isn't the youngest sibling usually compared to the oldest sibling?
Yeah, but in the same way that the oldest could also be compared to the youngest.
But doesn't the youngest sibling often have to live up to expectations set by the older sibling?
Yes, sometimes by the parents.
Isn't the younger sibling often dragged along places and thrown into whatever activities the older sibling is doing?
Sometimes it's suggested, but it's not necessary that the youngest follows the same path as the oldest does.
Is the youngest child often spoiled?
Yeah, they can be. They can be considered the baby of the family, and their parents can spoil them.
If they're often spoiled, can that potentially affect them later in life and that they're less financially responsible?
It depends on what level they're spoiled. But the oldest child can be just as spoiled for being the oldest born.
Okay. Are older siblings often role models for the youngest sibling?
Yes.
And don't the youngest siblings often get caught up in the older siblings' past experiences, like taking similar classes and playing similar sports?
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a bad thing either.
But do they have their own experiences or just the ones set before them?
They can have both. They can have their own experiences, but also learn from the mistakes and the successes of their older sibling.
But doesn't that have the potential to affect them later in life?
It can, but they can also just act like a role model as well, the oldest sibling.